Podcast. I am your host, Dividend Dave. Please be sure to join the Passive Income Posse by clicking that subscribe button below. Super excited for today's episode. We have the guest today, Chetta.
Yep.
So go ahead and give yourself an introduction.
Hi, my name is Chetta. I'm known on Twitter as Chetta Cheetah. I'm 47 years old. Um, I'm mostly a dividend investor. I do other things within my portfolio, but I would like to help teach and be a part of the groups that focus more on long-term dividend type investments.
Right.
I have a passive income that I would like to achieve for my retirement, being that I'm a independent private duty nurse. So I don't get benefits or 401k or anything like that. So I have to set up my own. So that's kind of my passion to try to achieve to replace the income that I currently have.
Yeah, great points. So right away, 401k. So that lets everyone know that you are American. You're in the U.S.
Yes.
And,
Yes, I am. I
and
live very close to Rochester, New York.
Yeah, before we started recording, I was saying literally 60 miles straight that way just across the lake, but it's actually a 5-hour drive to go around the lake to get there. So, dividend investing, yeah, that's definitely right up the alley of the Passive Income Podcast and all of the viewers and listeners that have come to, uh, you know, this incredible community. You mentioned Twitter. And I will put that in the description as well, the link to your Twitter handle, which I
Okay.
believe is
Thank you.
at Chetta underscore cheetah, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And 47, no way. You don't look a day over 37.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But yes, I don't hide from my age. I am a middle-aged woman. I'm 47 years old, which is more of a reason why I think focusing on my portfolio is much more important because I'm playing catch up in it. As a single mom,
Yes.
I was very focused on everyday living, paying off my bills, paying off my mortgage, doing it the way my Sicilian family that came from overseas taught me. And that was more that blue collar type of idea of investing. And it was, you pay your bills, you pay your mortgage off, and then you have money. So I tried to hit all that stuff first. I did buy my very first types of stocks when I was 18, and my very first stock I ever bought was Coca-Cola.
Oh, wow.
But as you know, because you're older, buying stocks back in the day was very different than it is today.
Oh, and yeah.
So yeah, so I didn't really keep up on it because I was very focused on my kids, very focused on getting an education, trying to advance that way, becoming a nurse, taking care of an autistic son. Um, and I also have a daughter, and I was a single mom. I was never married, so it was, I had boyfriends and stuff, but it, I was a single mom. So it was my job to take care of everything and them. And so I was very focused on, like I said, paying off everything. When I became debt free 100%, that's when I really started focusing more on my portfolios and the things that I needed to do. So yeah.
Yeah, wow. I know from some of our DMs back and forth, I know just from the limited amount we've talked to each other that you are a very strong, independent woman that, has had some incredible challenges, and obviously, shout out to any single parent, single mom, single dad, any single parent that's raising children by themselves. Like, it's just so incredible. I can't imagine doing that with somebody. Like, I've never had kids, so I don't know the entire pain, agony, and suffering that goes along with it, but I can only imagine, right?
Well, for me, it's odd. I very much would never change a darn thing. I I believe that everyone's supposed to learn from their hardships,
Yeah,
grow, become stronger, like you said. And I love my kids. They
of
are
course.
absolutely everything to me in my life. My son, he was born 1 pound, 10 ounces. He was
Wow.
25 weeks gestation when he was born. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be a nurse today. I wouldn't do what I do. I wouldn't take care of disabled kids. He gave me my passion. He showed me how to love.
Wow.
unconditionally. Um, like I could go on and on. Like I'm a very emotional person when it comes to children and all these types of things. And like I said, I wouldn't change anything, Dave, at all.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great background, and yeah, of course, obviously, moms love their children,
Yeah.
unconditionally, no matter what, and that's just a kind of like the number one big part of the job. You just love your kids no matter what.
That's the only good thing I ever really did. I always say that. Like if someone says, "What's the best thing you ever accomplished in your life?" I'll say my kids.
I
Um,
and I hear so
Everyone's got
many
the dream of being rich, right?
yeah, and I
But my
hear
kids
so many
make me
people
rich
saying
every
that.
day. Yeah.
So now I am curious, like, let's go
Sure.
back to so you said you're 47, so if I'm doing
Yeah.
quick math, that means you were born around 1976, 18
Yeah.
years old in then 1992 or 3 or something, 94?
94.
Yeah, so buying that first Coca-Cola stock in 1994, how did you do that? Let's talk about how that happened because you did not have a smartphone, you didn't have an app, you didn't
No,
have
it was so
you didn't have
different
the
back
internet,
then.
like, how did you actually buy and how much Coca-Cola stock did you buy?
I had $100, that I started with, and I reached out to my dad, and I had my dad help me. My dad actually called his broker, and they helped me do that together. So that's how I did that back then. So I would always reach out to my father.
Right.
I have this little bit of cash, Dad. What do I do with it? And I would tell him what stock I wanted. And because I loved Warren Buffett, I tried to buy as much Coca-Cola as I could back in the day.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
So do you still own that Coca-Cola stock?
Yes, I do. I do. When my dad passed away, I got my actual certificates. So
Oh, wow.
yeah.
That is amazing as well.
So I still have those. And then, like I said, obviously, things change as you
Yeah.
got older and everything. I don't think kids today realize how easy they have it. Like,
Oh, they do.
and
Well, the
how
ones
much
that
easier it is to put money away.
yeah.
Like, everything is done on your phone. I'll just transfer money out of here, put it in my whatever account you may have, and you can have multiple accounts like I do for different purposes and transfer that money in and just buy what you want. And
In
it's
seconds too, right?
yeah, it's amazing. You're not waiting for the Democrat and Chronicle or the morning news to see if your stock went up or down.
Yeah. And by that time too, when you actually see it, like back in the '90s when you actually see that, well, that news is a day old, so you don't really know is the stock up or down today because I'm reading whether it was up or down yesterday, whereas
Yeah.
now we have, like, literally up to the second information on, like, just
Mhm.
the internet, and it's just, like, amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes it much more fun, I think, for me. I learned so much more this way. I think that the education that I've had, because you can read as many books as you want, and I encourage everyone to read. Because like I didn't go to school for this. Everything I've learned on my own. And I think that once you actually start putting money in and actually watching the charts and reading the news articles and like just seeing how everything kind of flows together and is
Right.
this nice little spider web and how it affects the stocks, it's very interesting.
I think that's a great point, like, you don't have to be a finance major or have, like, an MBA or a university degree in business. Literally anyone these days can just you can have any job in the world, but you can still go to the internet and research and figure out how to invest and how to hopefully make yourself and your life better, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, anybody can buy indexes, right?
Yeah.
Anybody can buy indexes. And as we know, it's a matter of time how long you're in an index. So that's like the easiest way to invest, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree 110% there.
Hmm.
So let's talk a little bit more about the investing journey and I guess
Sure.
even the life journeys, like, you know, from the mid 90s and then what happens? Because obviously through the later 90s and into the 2000s, then we do start getting things like the internet and online banking. So, are you continuing to invest through those years, or is it just become focusing on raising the kids?
It was more focused on raising the kids.
Yeah,
Like I said,
understandable.
I became a mom at 21. I became a single mom at 23. So at that point, it was scraping by with every penny that I had to like get my education, become a nurse, do what I'm doing. Um, worked very hard, like I said, to take
Yeah.
care of the kids. And most of my money, if I had $10, yeah, I would try to buy something, but it wasn't always easy,
Oh,
so
obviously not. Yeah.
I never maxed out an IRA, for the year.
Yeah.
Never did. Up until, more within the last 5 years I have now. Um, and now I put a lot of money away because I'm debt free.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now at this point, it's like, okay, well, my son's older, no longer lives at home, and I'm still raising my other child, my daughter. But the income that I have now versus what my bills are just it's everyday living.
Right.
So now I take a good portion of it weekly,
Yeah. Nice.
because I'm playing catch up and I know that. So it stinks because I don't have as much time in the market as others, but I'm also trying to invest way more now.
Yeah, and that
Um,
was exactly the term I was going to use or ask you because I kind of feel I'm in the same position. You,
mhm,
you said playing catch up, and
yeah,
we are right at our age. If we don't have a nice giant nest egg at the age of the late 40s or early 50s, you're a little bit behind. You need to start playing catch up because yeah, there's lots of other people that are in much better positions than we, and unfortunately, there's people also in way worse positions than us as well that
absolutely.
those people are not listening and subscribe to the Passive Income Podcast. They definitely should be.
Yeah, I think I've done pretty well. Because at this point, I'm still above, like when I look at those statistical averages,
Right.
someone at my age, what they have put away, I'm still above that. So I'm pretty proud of what I've accomplished thus far.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
I'm never going to be a millionaire. I'll say it for what it is, but I also don't need to be. Because of the way I live. I live very frugally. I don't need a bigger house. If anything, when my kids graduate and move out, I actually want to size down and get a
Right.
duplex and live on one side, have them pay everything. So I'm living literally for free. Um, I just have a different way of life, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. And I don't need the bigger, finer things. I don't care.
I think that's another great point too of like you have to understand what it is that you want and need, whether it's, in retirement or striving towards retirement. I don't I don't need $1,000,000 either, right? I just need enough to pay my bills. I need enough to get by month by month. So that's all, and that's exactly where I am too, and it sounds like you're in a similar, uh, position, just trying to grow that dividend income
Mhm.
to help, in the future, whether you're at 55, 60, 65, even, to be able to retire and not have to really worry about bills because you just know you have the dividend income is going to cover expenses.
Exactly. And like I said, the house is already paid off. So it's kind of one of those things where you just sell this house and with the equity of this, buy that nice little duplex. They're paying for your, like I said, your
Yeah,
taxes, your gas and electric. Oh, so I'm living for free. So
yeah.
it basically buys me time then. So that's what I want. I just want peace, quiet, and time.
Oh, that is great. You have to tweet that you just want peace, quiet, and time.
I
Like,
do.
isn't that what everyone wants? Peace, quiet, and time.
I joke around all the time that I could literally live in a bus down by the river and be
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah, nice. Nice. So I am curious though about some of the, other holdings in your portfolio. Obviously,
Sure.
you've mentioned Coca-Cola and you
Yes.
mentioned ETFs. So let's just dive into anything and everything. I guess just open it up. Where do you wanna start?
Okay. Well, I have a big portion in indexes, like we've talked about.
SCHD?
And pardon?
SCHD?
Well, that's an EFT, but
Okay.
yeah. I'm talking like major indexes. Then I have my like I have certain REITs like O.
Yeah.
I recently got into ABR when it went all the way down to like $10. I bought a bunch of that, and now it's it's up there. Um, and let's see here. I'm starting to build VC right now. So I have some REITs because I don't, I think that's they're important to also have because they'll go up. Right now, things are going down, but they'll eventually go back up, and they have a really good dividend too. I'm very heavily invested, yes, in an SCHD.
As well. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I really, really believe in that one. VU, I have a lot of VU. Um, there was a time when I was buying VU and SPY, and that was because I didn't understand that they overlap.
Right.
But I was younger then. Now I know that, so I just mainly stick to VU because it has a lower cost. Um, I have JEPI. I have JEPI GEPQ as well. Um, goodness gracious, I have so much. DGRO.
Wow.
Um, I would
So
have
you
to
have,
look at.
yeah, that's fine. No, you have a lot of different positions.
I do, and then I have companies too, like McDonald's, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, um, Hershey, Kraft, Costco, and then of course I have like the bigger tech companies. When they went down, I bought up a whole bunch of that too.
Like
So I've been
Apple and
doing that little
Microsoft.
bit of a ride.
Wow.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack in your portfolio, really, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah, I try to look at when I was buying stuff, like I said, I always wanted to make sure I put money in indexes and in ETFs, but I also wanted to think about like what do I use on a daily basis or what companies do I see all the time? And healthcare companies too, because I'm in healthcare. So I have
Yeah.
Merck and, Pfizer and stuff like that too. Um, and during COVID, I bought a lot. I had at the time like $60,000, and I just went nuts during COVID and moved everything over and bought when everything crashed. And I held on to it. The only thing I didn't hold on to at that time, which I could kick myself in the butt for, was Exxon.
Right.
I sold that like a dum dum, and I will say that. And I missed the ride up. But other than that, I mean, I am invested in Shell though.
Right.
Um, so like I said, I try to put my money out there so I am diverse.
You're very diversified.
Yes, yes. So if one sector has a rotation or takes a hit, I'm still okay. I try to hedge my positions too as much as possible. Um, And if you pay attention to certain companies and certain things, you'll know what I'm talking about. You can hedge
Yeah.
certain things. So like just recently when Budweiser went down, but yet, you know, um, what was it? Coors went up. So
Yeah.
that hedged each other. So that was kind of nice. So I do try to do that a little bit so it doesn't take too much of a hit.
Yeah. Yeah. So
But
I
I
heard a lot of
also,
I heard a
oh,
lot of fan favorites in there.
yeah,
From past American guests here on the Passive Income Podcast, and of course on Twitter as well. Realty Income, ticker symbol O,
yes, yes,
monthly
huge fan.
dividend payer, increases their dividends quite consistently. Like I believe every quarter they seem to raise that incrementally, but it's still a little bit more every. I think it's every quarter.
Yes.
And so again, like that's one of those ones too. You, you look at that, and again, you're trying to increase your dividends or whatever, and you just have that one coming in every single month, and that one just has to be. And again, I love REITs. I have, I, I'm not even sure how many REITs I own. They're all Canadian REITs, but that's,
Hmm.
but similar. They're, they pay monthly, and and I've said this, I've repeated this on almost every episode of the Passive Income Podcast. Is like I get it, 5% is 5%, or whatever the yield is, whether it's paid quarterly or monthly. because it's an annualized number, that percentage, but there's just something psychological about seeing that money show up in your brokerage account every
It does.
single month on the 15th or 16th.
It does. It also keeps you motivated too.
Yeah.
So, like for me, like when all the bank stocks crashed, I did tons of research and tried to figure out like one or two banks that I could invest in that I wouldn't feel too scared about. So like I invested in TFC and KeyBank. Um, because I try my best to, when things crash, to not get scared. I look at it as an opportunity.
Yeah.
Here's my opportunity to get something at a low price. And it may take some time and I may need to be patient on it. It may even go a little bit lower, just like CVS just recently. But I'm going to go in and start. I call it starting my position within a range. So I buy some, and then if it starts to lower a little bit more, I'll buy a little bit more. I definitely do my research and see what the intrinsic value of the stock is. I definitely check to see what the financials are. And then I check the dividend history on it. So I try my best to make a good, well-educated guess on what is like, do I really believe in this? Do I really believe it's going to go up? And if
Yeah.
I do, then I'm going to buy it. I try to stay away from what I call. Hold on one second.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, that was my dog. He was eating the cat house. Honey, no. Um, So I try to stay away from the noise of Twitter, even though like I listen to what everybody else's opinion is for sure.
Yep.
I try to share information or ask questions because sometimes people have access to things that I can't see.
Yep.
And people are usually pretty wonderful at answering questions back.
Yeah.
So I like that. And I answer questions back if someone asks me something that may not have as much knowledge either. Um, but at the end of the day, I buy what I want, not what everybody else is talking about.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's great. I
Yeah.
love that strategy of like a price range entry point. So you
Yeah.
just look at something and say between X and Y or between A and B, I'm comfortable with purchasing in that price range. So I think
Hmm.
that's a great point. You also mentioned several others before we get into the individual stocks and companies, but you mentioned Jeppy, JepQ, VU. Did
Hmm.
you say Vici as well?
Pardon?
Did you say Vici as well? Like all these different ETFs and index funds that you hold, and you did mention SEHD as well. Like
Yes. CHD, I'm very heavily invested in.
nice,
Absolutely. I'm constantly promoting that one. I know it's very popular on Twitter as well. I get that. But it is definitely one that I personally believe in. So
nice. You and Craig must be best friends at SEHD Stan.
oh, he's really nice. I don't know. I follow him on Twitter. I don't know if he follows me or not, but I do read his posts a lot. Um, yeah, he seems like a very nice man. He's very
Yeah, he's been
intelligent.
on the Passive Income
Working
podcast a
on it.
couple times.
Oh,
He's
okay.
he's nice because he's Canadian. We're known for being nice.
A
Exactly. He's Canadian, but he lives in Florida, so
gotcha.
he's got the best of both worlds. He's like, I'm gonna live in this place where it's a lot warmer than Canada. Although it's quite warm here today. I'm sure it's the same temperature on the other side of the lake for you. It's quite warm.
Yeah, it was like 78 degrees here today.
I have no idea what that means.
Uh, it was warm.
Yeah. Uh, I will make sure if Craig doesn't follow you, I will make sure that he does after
Okay.
this. Um, so those other ones, Jeppy, JepQ, and did you say Vici? Vici is the one that owns all the properties on the Las Vegas Strip.
BC? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Sorry, my apologies.
That's okay. I might even be pronouncing it wrong. Who knows? I just know it's VICI.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, they do have casinos.
yeah. I think that's an incredible one too. Just being able to say, "Hey, I own a little piece of the Las Vegas Strip." Like it's gotta be some of the most valuable and well-known real estate in the world, right? Like, it's in movies and it's part of, like, pop culture of whether it's the MGM Grand or Bellagio or Caesar's Palace or whatever, right? Like, just the fact that you own a little tiny piece of those properties is absolutely amazing.
Well, I kind of view, and I know I'm probably this is very controversial to some, but I'm a personal believer that like it's a REIT, yeah, but I mean I don't really own the property. You know what I mean? I have
Yeah,
voting rights and stuff like that. So be it. And the same thing with like a CHD. You know what I mean? I own a stock, but I don't really own the stocks within it because I don't have voting rights.
right.
So I try to, if I want voting rights and I want to own a piece of that company because I believe in it, then I buy the company stock.
Interesting point. Very
Yes,
interesting point. And great segue into the individual companies. So we've talked about Coca-Cola, and you did mention a couple other individual companies that you own. Uh, yeah, let's dive into some of the companies that you own. Did you say McDonald's as well?
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Absolutely. I own a lot of McDonald's. I love McDonald's stock. They own their properties too. So I think
yeah,
that they've always been in a better financial position
yeah,
because they're not paying like the rent and stuff like that. And I've noticed as I'm getting older and doing more research and things, right, that when companies have to pay rent on their properties, they tend to have a lot of loans
yeah. It's a
right
big
now.
chunk, right?
Yes. Um, so that can affect whether you get a dividend or not. It can affect the company and their financials, and especially in it right now with interest rates being what they are on loans. I'm trying to be pretty smart about which companies I'm holding onto, which ones I should sell off and get in, more of something else. Unfortunately, sometimes you have to make sure you're playing what's presented to you too, and not what you wish you had,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You got to be careful. You got to cover your butt within your finances as much as possible. I mean, you can always get back into a company if need be. So but mostly, I mean, I buy, I set it, I forget it, but I always keep up with the financials of the company. And as long as everything stays on track and things are still looking good and I can see a good future for the company, then I'm going to hold on to it.
yeah. But you're
As
buying
long as they
companies
keep
that have
increasing.
incredible track records too, right? Like
Yeah.
I think you
Yeah.
mentioned Pepsi as well, like Coke, Pepsi, McDonald's.
Johnson and Johnson, PG. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So not financial advice, but it's tough to go wrong with some of these companies, right?
I hope so.
Yeah,
That's the hope, right? But,
definitely.
I did take a very small position in a smaller company, um, because I saw, or I hope, and that would be Joby. I love aviation. So
Okay.
anybody that knows me knows I love airplanes. I love aviation. I love the idea of technology and in the future as far as aircraft and that kind of stuff in space and just everything. So I did pick up some shares of that because just the whole idea of a like Meet George Jetson type of uh, taxi service sounded wonderful to me. So we'll see.
Right.
And when I bought it at like $3.15 and took just 100 shares and I'm still holding on to it. So we'll see what happens. I know that it was recently upgraded to like $8. So that was good, but I don't really mess with penny stocks too much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, there sometimes like it sounds like I don't know, maybe because I definitely have like at some point in my history and investing journey, kind of learned the hard lessons with penny stocks. But sometimes you can find one like that where you're just kind of like, yeah, sure, I'll throw a couple $100 at it and just let it ride out. And if
Yeah.
I can turn that like 100 shares at $3 and 50, so you put $315 into it, and you're like, If I can turn this into $1,000, well, that's money well spent, and if I lose
Right.
315, it's not the end of the world.
Exactly. Exactly. That's kinda how I looked at it too. I definitely try not to hold anything like that. But this one was just something, I don't know, I found very interesting, and like I said, we'll see what happens. Right now, I'm still in the green on it, so if I have to let it go, I'll let it go, but, um, you know.
So my
I
next
believe in the technology. We'll see if the company can make it.
so my next question is,
Sure.
how many total individual positions do you have?
I don't even know.
Because it sounds like you have a lot. Like, would you say over 50?
Yeah,
Would you say over 70?
I don't know. I would have to actually go into,
And yeah, actually
yeah, I
count
would
them
have to
all.
go into it and count everything, but it if you're including, like, literally everything,
Yeah, I am. Everything.
yeah, probably somewhere around there,
Wow.
which I
That's
know a lot of people are gonna say are way too many.
yeah.
Um,
Are you
I'm
do
gonna
you
hear
feel
it.
over diversified?
Um, Sometimes, yes. Sometimes I feel like I should really, bring that down to maybe, 30 or 40 stocks, but, um, it's hard to decide which one to let go for
Yeah.
me because as long as like, if everything is still doing good, like, why would I want to?
Yeah.
And I'm keeping up on it. It's not like I'm not. I'm keeping up on the companies too.
Well,
I
hey,
mean,
good. Hey, as long as that's the important part, right?
yeah, I'm constantly looking at the earnings and financials, as we all know, because I'm constantly posting about earnings.
Yes,
So,
you are.
so, it's part of the reason why I have to. Um, I also, just because I post it doesn't necessarily mean I'm in it. Sometimes
Right.
I just post the information for other people. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have to start really going through my portfolio and deciding which ones I want to start to see where the overlap might be, or how I can reduce some of these positions for sure. Um,
Yeah,
I
just
just haven't done it yet. I
just
kind of want to see where the market's going before I make that decision because it's just so different right now.
so I'm at around, I think, still slightly below 25. I'm not sure if I might be at 23 or 24 individual positions total, so like ETFs, individual companies, everything.
Mhm.
And I've thought about, well, should I pare this down to get under 20? But then there's like something like maybe I bought 50 shares of a company 2 years ago that's still paying me a dividend, and I'm like,
Right.
well, I'm just gonna let that dividend keep coming in. Like if I sell those 50 or 80 or 100 shares, it's like suddenly I lose that dividend, and there's still chance for, capital appreciation on those shares as well.
Absolutely, and there's
So I'm
tax
like,
implications depending on where they are.
yeah,
That's
I'm
the whole thing. Like, I don't have just a Roth IRA. I also have okay, so I have my Roth IRA, and then I have a personal IRA, um, and then I have another personal IRA that I kinda do, well, every single portfolio has different reasons and different meanings, so I don't blow up my account.
right.
Um, I have my long term, then I have my other one, which is more long term too, but it's a personal, like I said, IRA account where I put long term positions in as well because, I already maxed out my Roth for the year. Because
Okay.
I contribute way more than 6,500 a year at this point now, because I'm playing catch up.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
then I have another one where I do, just option calls on with a minimum amount of money in it. And then I do another one where I do day trades, swing trades, which is more risky, which I have even less amount of money in. And then I try to make everything drip as much as possible. If I make money on a day trade or a swing trade, I will take the profit of that, take 35% out for taxes, and put it into a separate high yielding savings account. And then I take that money and I transfer it over and buy a long-term position that pays
Yeah.
dividends. So I try to keep making more, dripping more, doing what I can to increase.
Just trying to keep getting money to make more money.
Yes,
To
yes,
make
because
to
my
get
goal
money to
is,
make more money to get money to make more money.
yes, sir, because my goal is also I would like to get 100 shares of these really good stocks so I can sell, and some of them I already do
Yeah.
by doing this process, because now I can sell covered calls, covered puts on these and make more money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wow, that's incredible. And I do wanna circle back too, you mentioned tech stocks, so I'm guessing like your Apples, your Microsofts.
Apple, Google, NVIDIA, AMD, yeah. I also have a chip company called Marvel. I bought that during COVID, um, when it was like 24, $25. And now it's like, I don't want to sell it or get rid of it. It's doing
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice.
great.
And then before we started recording as well, you mentioned, sort of the meme stocks, and
Yeah.
do you wanna talk about that just briefly?
Um, well, I like I explained to you earlier, I was running my own Facebook stuff for many years. In my own groups and stuff. And then I left the groups because I had people tell me to come to Twitter. So I did, because I could learn more, they said here. So I came to Twitter, and I became part of the EMC group. So shout out to everybody. Hello. Um, so, but at this point in time, I've kind of pulled away a little bit, because I want to try to teach people more and be a part of more of the long-term
Right,
dividend type of portfolio. Because people need to, I think, learn more about investing. It was pretty apparent to me that not a lot of people knew a lot. They came into the meme era, bought stocks, which is great and wonderful, but they didn't really know much about long-term investing. So I wanted to try to pursue that, to try to teach more for
right.
people as much as possible, and of course to always continue learning for myself. Um, so there's that.
I think so many people came into that era of the AMCs and the GameStop and the meme stocks and made a whole lot of money very easily and thought to themselves, "This is easy." And then I'm dollars to donuts, I'm guessing most of those people also then lost a lot of money because because it isn't easy. And I totally get and agree with what you're saying is with the more long-term, uh, you know, long-term thinking, long-term viewpoints,
Well, a lot of
having
people
playing
in
that
the
long
industry
game.
still have long-term viewpoints on their stock as well too. So I it is what it is. I do see that too.
Right.
But like I said, I'm more the type of person at this point that I'm just trying to teach more. There's, they always say there's more ways, there's not just one way to skin a cat, right? There's always, and I know that's a horrible saying, but it's true. There's
Yeah.
so many different ways to do something. I'm sorry, my dog. There's so many different ways to do something, and not, and everyone's passionate on Twitter about one way or the other way. And I've
Yeah.
come to know this.
Yeah.
If you're very passionate about dividend investing, then a lot of them don't believe in day trading, or technicals, or and I'm just not like that. I really truly believe that there's many ways to do something, and you need to put forward what you're good at. What is your strength? So if your strength is this, then make sure that that's what you're putting out there for people to learn from you. Um, and at this point, that's what I'm trying to do. This is my strength. My strength is long-term investing. My strength is being patient in the down market, seeing opportunities when they arise, and understanding that that's an opportunity,
Yeah.
and to jump on it. I know how to do intrinsic values of stocks and how to evaluate stocks and know that. So not everyone does, which kind of surprised me when I first came on. Not everyone
Yeah.
knows how to read. Yeah, I was kind of surprised at some of the things I was hearing. And I never viewed myself, and I still don't view myself as being smart enough. I
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah,
Like, I
right?
still say I'm in the beginning of my journey, even though
It's like I
because I
never
feel
wanna
like
be the smartest person in the room. I always
no.
wanna be learning from someone.
Yes, yes, and I feel like I still have so much more to learn. I feel like this is just the beginning for me.
Nice. Incredible.
Thank you.
Incredible story. I'm gonna, quickly bring up your Twitter here so you can find you see that on the screen right now?
Yep.
Okay, so at Chetta_Cheetah,
Yep,
and
I love
definitely give her a follow on Twitter. I love this too, dividend hunting. That's great.
yes. I'm a big fan of cheetahs. I love that animal. It's my favorite animal. So I decided to use that as part of my little whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
Um,
Twitter handle.
yeah, yeah, and part of my gimmick, I think they
Y
call it,
y
right?
Yeah, your theme, your draw.
Yeah,
So, definitely give, Chetta_Cheetah a follow on Twitter. And yeah, I absolutely amazing conversation. I love having
thank
these
you.
conversations with everyone here on the Passive Income Podcast. Incredible. I love the journey that you've had. You and I are close to the same age. You're obviously younger than me, but we
Not by much.
not by, but we remember the 80s and 90s and what it was like to try to invest and the changes
Crazy.
that have made obviously the changes for the better now and how simple it has become to just literally download a free app on your phone and tap your fingers a few times and you've bought a stock. It's literally that easy, right?
Yeah,
As well as the research you can now do on the internet and figure out what companies you should or shouldn't be buying, and so
absolutely. We can see things now that we couldn't see before. I don't ever remember reading an SEC report. Do you?
no.
I do not.
No, no. Uh, so with that said, yeah, thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for being a guest on the Passive Income Podcast. Any last words or any last words of wisdom or any shout outs that you would like to say before we sign off?
Um, yeah, I think I just wanted to say, that it's never too late and it's
Yeah,
never too early to start investing, and that time is always on your side. And to all you single moms out there, like you can do this.
yeah,
Honestly, you can. And I know it's hard, but even if it's just $5, put that $5 in every single week in an index, and you'll eventually get there because that $5 will grow. So just remember that, and you can
yeah,
achieve anything that you put your heart and mind to achieve, and you don't necessarily always need a college education for it.
right,
Read.
right, yeah, yeah. Not financial advice, but great advice. just
Thanks.
just get started, just get on base, and
Yeah.
whatever you can do, whether it's 5, 10, $15, it's all gonna add up over time.
Hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, the only person that's in control of your outcome in life is you. So you have to make that decision.
Wow. I think those are great words to end on. The
Thank
only
you.
person in control of your life is you.
Yeah.
With that said, thank you so much for being a guest here on the Passive Income Podcast. Thank you so much to everyone for uh, clicking on this video and watching us. We've had an incredible conversation. If you're still here nearly 45 minutes later, you know the rules. Subscribe.